for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro,
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lanier, back to Lafleur. Oh!
the sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they work the young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Bittt.tv. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Good Friday evening, everyone. My name's Matt Ohayon. Welcome to the Sick Podcast and welcome to the weekend. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group is a leading asset light 3PL that's driven to be different. From a cross-border freight between Canada, USA, and Mexico to coast-to-coast shipping in both Canada and the United States, Energy moves it all. They're fast, reliable, and powered by tech that delivers smart logistics. If you need a real partner in transportation, contact the team at sick@energy.com. Shipenergy.com, that is, and see how Energy Transportation Group is changing the fray. We're also brought to you by Playground. You haven't really played poker until you've played at Playground. Voted the fan choice best poker room at the 2025 Global Poker Awards. Enjoy free drinks at every table, free food at all cash games, and daily tournaments, plus the biggest events in the game, like the World Poker Tour and WSOP Circuit. And don't miss your shot at the world record Bad Beat Jackpot, now closing in on $1 million. Just minutes from downtown Montreal across the Mercier Bridge. This is Playground. We're also brought to you by Tibi beer. Tibi has launched their new Ultra Lager, a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for those cool fall days, with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, at 4% alcohol per can. Available in packs of 6 and 12 in grocery stores and dépanneurs across the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. And of course, by Betway, go all the way with Betway and get a deposit matchup bonus up to $300 on your first deposit. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Offer is available only for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. You must be 18 years or older, and please play responsibly. Well. The Montreal Canadiens are still the cardiac kids. 2 very exciting games during the week. Since we last spoke, the Canadiens have ripped off, I think, 3 in a row. They're now winners of 4 in a row. So let's tackle it all. He is my usual Friday guest. Let's bring him in.
Stu Cowan, presented by Au Noir, quality clothing for the modern man.
Stu, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Has your heart rate calmed down from last night?
Yeah, it's funny. I was sitting beside Herb Zurkowski in the press box last night, and with about a minute left in the game, I said to Herb, well, this one's over. Packed up my computer, started putting it in my bag, grabbed my coat, getting ready to head down to the locker room, and then bang! It's like it was just crazy. I mean, Lane Hutson making the save. Marchessault will have nightmares about that. If he just fired it low along the ice, he probably would have scored and wrapped up the game. Lane Hutson makes a save, passes up to Caulfield. They tie it, and then Caulfield again in overtime. I was asking Lane Hutson after the game, did you play goalie in road hockey or something as a kid? And he laughed and said, no, it was just sort of a reflex action. But, this team, there's, saying it to Marty St. Louis in his post-game news conference, there's something special about these guys. There really is. The way they win, and as tweeted out after the game, it's almost like the Forum ghosts have finally found their way to the Molson Center. Someone responded saying, well, with the traffic in Montreal, it's no longer it took them so long. And it was sort of funny because I was mentioning the Forum ghost to a couple of players after the games, including Nick Suzuki, and he said, what's that? So it just shows you how long it's been since there were Forum ghosts and how young some of these players are. But, that was a couple of special nights at the Bell Center, especially last night. The first 2 periods were boring to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I went and met a buddy of mine, Pat McThurney, has season tickets down low, and I was talking to him and saying, man, paying a lot of money for these seats tonight for not much action. He's like, yeah, well, at the end of the game, he was pretty happy, and so were the rest of the Canadiens fans.
Well, that's it. It usually happens that way these days for the Canadiens. They have a flair for the dramatics. But it is all that to say. I mean, I guess the lesson from last night's game is that while there are no easy games in the NHL, because Nashville, they played a good game. I mean, by not expecting much of them this season, but they played a good game.
A solid road game, they really did.
Well, that's it. And, they're on a road trip. They got trounced by Toronto on Tuesday. And if you don't come prepared with your best stuff every night, a team could catch you off guard. I mean, with the lack of action in that game and Nashville having the lead twice, I don't think many people were expecting in their right mind the Canadiens to come back and win. I know. Listen, you can never count them out, but with just the way things going, an average the seasoned hockey watcher will say, I don't think this is the Canadiens' night, and then they just turned it on in the second half of the third period.
Well, to do a one game is one thing. To do it back-to-back games at home is something else. And Nick Suzuki was saying after the game too, like, this team can now win with their B game. It used to be they had to be on top of their game to have any hope of winning, right? Everything had to go well for these guys to win. Now, they played okay last night. As Marty St. Louis said after the game, we deserve to at least get a point. The extra point was a bonus. But those extra points in overtime add up. And you don't want to play against the Canadiens now in overtime in 3-on-3. You look at the players that, Marty saying we can throw over the boards. I know on defense, you got Matheson and Hutson, you got Suzuki, you got Caulfield, you got a lot of guys that you can throw out there that are scary to play against. And like 3-on-3 hockey was made for Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki, right? Mm-hmm. Cole Caulfield just needs to find space, and Nick Suzuki gets the puck and finds Cole Caulfield. And we saw that again. And, Cole Caulfield, the confidence he must have now, the way he's shooting the puck. 5 goals in 5 games, and Suzuki hasn't scored yet, but he's got 7 assists. In overtime, the Canes are built for overtime. And, Dobes again last night, solid game. I think we spoke about this on the last podcast we had together. He's going to challenge Samuel Montembeault for the number 1 spot. And it's a huge difference from this point last season when Marty said we had no confidence in Caden Primo and was afraid to start his backup goalie. Dobes is now he's going to challenge Sam Montembeault for that number 1 spot. He's a really good goalie. He's confident. He's athletic. He pushes so hard from side to side in the net. The net almost comes off the moorings every time he does it. And it was interesting too, when after scoring the winning goal, the first person Cole Caulfield pointed at was Dobes, and then he skated the line and celebrated with him. So, it was a fun team to watch last season. It's going to be even more fun to watch this season. Noah Dobson's been a great addition. Bolduc's been a great addition. It's a fun hockey team.
Back to Jakub Dobes is that he pointed back at him because for a guy that only faced 19 shots in the game, he bailed the Canadiens out a couple of times, and he bailed him out a few times in overtime, and he bailed him out. I can't remember if it was in the first or second period, but he made a cross ice pad save. I think Dobson gave the puck away, and he bailed them out. It was incredible to watch. I mean, he's like you said, he's going to push, and the Canadiens need that. Frankly, they need a second goaltender because we've seen it often too many times. As recent as Caden Primo, but as far back as Antti Niemi. You need your B goalie. I won't even call him a number 2. I'm going to say you need your B goalie to give you wins. It's essential.
And the confidence he plays with, he made 1 save in overtime, then he got up and tried to skate with the puck up the ice with it to make a pass.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, you don't do that unless you got a lot of confidence, especially for a young goalie like that. And competition is good. Marty St. Louis said this. This is the most talented team he's had since he came here, just as part of this rebuild. The most depth he's had. And he's got tough decisions to make. And as he said, those are good decisions. One of those decisions was not dressing Arbor Jackeye last night and playing Jaden Struble, who played a really solid game. You've got some fans on social media saying, St. Louis is always picking on Jackeye, and why is it always Jackeye? Well, Struble had a good training camp too, at least as good as Jackeye, and he spent the first 4 games as a healthy scratch. Engstrom had a great training camp. He got sent down to Laval. So it's, Struble and Jackeye are going to battle each other for that 6th defense spot for the rest of the season. And that's the way it is with a lot of NHL teams with their 6th defense. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Whoever's playing the best is going to play. And that's the way it was last season with Struble and Jackeye. Jackeye played more games than Struble last season, but near the end of the season, Marty went more with Struble. And then in the playoffs, he went back to Jackeye. So it's a good situation to have with all these sort of tough decisions that Marty St. Louis is going to have moving forward, just because he's got depth now in this team.
Martin St. Louis, this will be one for our fantasy hockey and fantasy football players that have a lot of depth. It's a blessing and a curse because we saw it with the power play, right? There's so many options to throw out there on the power play that you kind of overthink. And it's tough to make this decision. It's a good problem to have, but you have to know how to manage it and who to put on the ice and the right decisions to make. And, again, good decision to have, but it's very tough because there's a lot of things you can do, and there's only probably one right winning combination.
Yeah, and one of the things I've been wondering about, is how he doesn't have Demidov on the first power play unit. And if they had lost last night, that was the question I was going to ask Marty, because the power play didn't score, and Slavkovsky looks at a loss in that position against the half wall where he is. It's more of a playmaker's position, and he's not necessarily a great playmaker. He's more a guy built to be in front of the net on the power play, which is where Bolduc is more now on the first power play. And then I figured I would ask Marty today at practice about it, but then they canceled practice after last night. So it's something we'll get to maybe next week. But one of the power plays last night, Demidov didn't get on the ice until there was 22 seconds left. Another one, there was like 50 seconds left. And it's similar to last season we saw with Lane Hutson, right? When he was on the second power play unit and Matheson was on the first, and we kept wondering, when's he going to move him? When's he going to move him? And eventually he did. I think it was like maybe 20, 30 games in. I don't think you should wait that long with Ivan Demidov. I mean, the skills this guy has, I think by not, you're wasting those skills by not having him out for the majority of the 2 minutes on the power play. And, the second power play looked better than the first power play last night. Big reason because Demidov was out there. So that's another one of the decisions Marty's going to have. We'll see how much longer he sticks with the units he has. He was asked about it a couple of days ago, and he said that, what would it take for him to change the power plays up? I think it was Arpin Bass who asked the question. And Marty said, well, we're not getting chances. He says, we're getting lots of chances. We're just not scoring on them. So I'm not that concerned about it. But the power play is going to have to be better moving forward if the Canadiens want to keep winning.
It's essential because, especially in the fashion that they are winning games, listen, it's exciting, but it's not sustainable. I think everyone knows that. They're a good team. They can pull off these wins. But if you're needing to do this more often than not, you're going to be losing games more often than not.
Well, they're 23rd after last night's game. They're 23rd in the NHL on the power play with a 15% success rate. And people were thinking going into this season, the power play was going to be one of their big strengths, right? With all the with the addition of Dobson and et cetera, but it just hasn't worked out that way so far.
Well, and another thing that they are, after last night is it's part of the reason probably why the power play isn't doing so well is they're 25th in the league in shots.
Yep.
For a team that possesses the puck so much, I've never seen a team cycle so much. They are almost looking for the perfect shot, which, credit to them. It's working. They're winning games. But at a certain point, just send the puck towards the net and let Bolduc on the first wave dig it up and hammer it into the back of the net or something. Because that's just, send the puck to the net and good things will happen.
Exactly. Last year they were 20% on the power play, 15% now. I mean, it's a small sample size, of course, but yes, I mean, sometimes you just got to shoot the puck, right? And it seems they sort of, as I said, Slavkovsky just sort of looks out of place in that spot. And I think he'd be better on the second unit and standing in front of the net with that big body and screening and putting Demidov on that right wall there, more of a playmaker position where he is on the second unit. But you're right. I mean, they got to shoot the puck more. They really do. And, Cole Caulfield, it seems every time he shoots now, it goes in the net. So he's definitely got to keep shooting too.
Well, it's funny because, there was a play in I think it was the first period where Newhook and Demidov were on a 2-on-1. And normally, if you're going by last year's Alex Newhook, he would have passed that puck. He would have forced that pass to Demidov, but the pass wasn't there, and he shot the puck. It was a save by Saros, great save, but he made the right play. On the other hand, so you juxtapose that with later in the game, I find Demidov is now facing the same issue that Slavkovsky was in his rookie season, which is, guys, shoot the puck. You got to rip it. He's a fantastic passer. I mean, every time he goes for a crazy pass, it is recepted. More often than not. I mean, I would call it 90% hit rate on his crazy passes. But, you have a tic-tac-toe play where the puck ends up on your stick, you're in prime position to shoot, and then you just dish it back. And it's like, I know you're that type of player, but man, just shoot, just send it on net. You're going to score. I mean, I find there's always just one too many. If I had to knock him, I mean, he's playing great, but if I had to knock him somewhere, it's just there's one too many passes coming off the stick of Demidov. I'd like to see him rip it more.
Yeah, and that seems to happen a lot with rookies, right? You don't want to be looked at as selfish type of thing. But like 2-on-1, I'll never blame a player for shooting on a 2-on-1. I mean, so many times the passes are intercepted or it's not a good pass. And a 2-on-1, if you shoot, especially if you shoot low, the odds are pretty good that the other guy's going to get the rebound, right? You're 2 against 1 on the rebound too. So I'll never go against guys shooting on a 2-on-1. But look for a pass and shoot. But you're right with Demidov. He's got the full skill package. I mean, this guy is what a special hockey player to watch. And it's nice to see for Montreal fans. And it's been a long time since we've had exciting players here with the Canadiens. And now you've got two of them in Demidov and Hutson. Hudson's locked up 9 years now, including this season. And Demidov will be the next guy they're trying to lock up. There's a lot of talented players that are fun to watch on this team. And one of those guys so far this season is Mike Matheson, who's been playing amazing hockey. I mean, he's really been playing well. Another tough decision they're going to have moving forward, Kent Hughes, is do they re-sign Mike Matheson or not? Pierre LeBrun reported this week, Matheson, I mean, we all know Matheson wants to stay here. I've spoken with him about it. He's from here. But they're reporting he wants like a 4 or 5 year deal, which makes sense at his age at 31. And the Canadiens, a lot of fans out there bash Matheson and trade him and get rid of him. Okay, well, who's going to fill those minutes? And who's going to play against the other team's top line? And that's a big ask for a young defenseman like if David Reinbacher eventually can stay healthy and make it here. So it's for Matheson, he's looked really, really, really good. I mean, I wrote a column this week saying they should re-sign him. I mean, he's 31. He's one of the most fit guys on the team. Like he's not going to slow down. He's accepted every role the Canadiens have given him since he's been here, whether it was first power play unit, second power play unit, PK, and he accepts it all. He's also a leader in the room. So it's fun hockey to watch right now. And with St. Louis, at training camp, right from the start of training camp, he was stressing how he wanted them to be aggressive on the forecheck and really aggressive in the neutral zone. And we've seen how well that can work. And you can't do that without mobile defensemen. And Mike Matheson's the most mobile defenseman on the team. And they have quite a few. And him and Dobson have worked really well together. Carrier is mobile. Goulie's mobile. Hopefully he's not hurt badly from what happened last night. He's been so jinxed with injuries. But again, they have depth, right? If he is hurt, they have other guys that are ready to come and step in.
And the other thing is that, yes, you have guys that are exciting, young, and, you want to give them more ice time. But we've seen, and we learned from last year's playoffs, you need men. You need men in the playoffs. You need veterans. And, when the things are going haywire, you need someone to look to. That guy was David Savard last year. This year, on the blue line, it's probably going to be Mike Matheson, because that's just how it is. You can't look to, no matter how, mature beyond his years he is, you can't look to a Caden Goulet right now. It's not fair to him.
From a leadership standpoint, I mean, Mike Matheson is one of the most respected guys in the room, without a doubt. And you're right, they need more men going forward. And that's why, Florian Jackai at training camp showed that he's a man. He's ready to be a man in the NHL. And, Joe Veleno, big guy too, big body also. And the other tough decision Marty's going to have coming up is what's he going to do with Patrik Laine?
I was getting to that next.
On that fourth line with him and Anderson and Evans haven't scored a goal yet. Laine's -3. The other two guys are -2. I mean, take plus minus with a grain of salt. But the fourth line, previous seasons has been really effective for the Canadiens, right? They've been able to chip in with some goals. Jake Evans last year. And it's just talking about that fast-paced play that Marty wants to play that doesn't suit Patrik Laine. That's not his game, right? The effort level's been there for Laine this season. He's made some good defensive plays, but that fourth line is slower with him out there than it would be if you had Veleno out there or if you had Florian Jackai out there. So that's going to be, Marty said before, after the morning skate yesterday, that, he got Struble in the lineup. Jackai didn't have a great game the game before, so it was good timing to make that move. And he said how you can't let Veleno sit there too much longer, right? That's 5 games now he hasn't played. So he's going to have to take somebody out to put him in. And the only guy with less average ice time than Laine right now is Kapanen as a rookie. So he's going to take the rookie out to put
I'd be surprised.
Or that wouldn't shock me if that happens. Or does he make the move and take the veteran out and wonder how that might affect Laine moving forward? How it would affect his trade possibilities if for when they're looking to move him. So a lot of decisions to make. It's easier to make that they're 4-1 than it would be if they're 1-4. Right? I mean, I would be surprised if Veleno doesn't get in the lineup tomorrow or Monday at the latest. And it'd be interesting to see what Marty does and who he decides to sit out.
Yeah, I would be the thing I would be surprised about is if he took Kapanen out at this point. Kapanen's playing great.
And
He
that
looks really good with Demidov.
Yep.
Patrik Laine, listen, effort could be there. At the end of the day, you need results. And the guy's got 6 shots in 5 games. It's, if you're on the team to shoot the puck and you have 6 shots in 5 games, you're not doing enough because you're clearly not doing enough at 5-on-5. You're not capable. And it's, it's very early to say, but I think we could comfortably say this is going to go through waves if Patrik Laine is with the Canadiens all year. I'm ready to say that I was wrong on the season that Patrik Laine would have. It's only 5 games in, but I'm ready because, you're already seeing, you see it in the body language. There's a picture going around of the Canadiens winning the game in overtime. Everyone jumps off the bench, and Laine's the only one sitting there with his shoulders hunched forward because he hasn't had a shift in however long he was stapled to the bench for last night. I'd be very surprised if Valeno didn't draw in tomorrow night for Laine.
Laine missed practice Wednesday with what they said was a therapy day. So you wonder if they maybe take him out and say it's a therapy, he's dealing with something to sort of soften the blow a bit, something along those lines. But it's got to be tough and as I said, to Laine's credit, that he worked hard all summer. He worked hard in training camp. He's working hard on the ice now. It's just a case of the NHL gets faster every year. And speed isn't Patrik Laine's strength, and even less so after the knee injury he suffered last season. Moving forward, I wrote at the time, it was when they acquired him, it was a very low risk,
of course,
move. They gave up Jordan Harris, who Columbus let go after 1 season, and the Canadiens also got a 2nd round pick in that deal. So all they were basically taking on was Laine's salary, and this is the last year of his contract. I don't see, as much as Laine would love to stay in Montreal and has spoken how much he loves it here and his wife loves it here. I don't see a spot for him moving forward on this team with the younger guys that I mentioned with Jacky, et cetera, and with Valeno. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with Patrik Laine moving forward. That's probably their toughest decision right at this point, because take Arbor Jacky. Yeah, some fans are going to be really upset. Jacky has been through this before. He's been sent down to minors too. He's used this. Him and Struble are great buddies. They're not going to, the friendship isn't going to fray over this. And it's a case of whoever plays better is going to play. And Struble played really good last night. Marty said that after the game, and I'm sure he's going to be back in the lineup again until he has a bad game. And then Jacky goes back in. That's just the way it's going to work. But with Laine, again, it's sort of, he's slowing that 4th line. It's also having an impact on Evans and Anderson, because I think they're focused. So, there's a reason he put Laine with those 2 guys, right? 2 very defensively responsible players. And they're on the ice probably looking to be more defensively responsible and taking care of Laine, helping Laine out in that end, than they are trying to focus on score goals. So, as I said, no goals from that line through 5 games. Their teams are still 4-1. They've been able to win without them, producing offensively. But moving forward, something's got to give there.
Well, we have also seen that Martin St. Louis he's not a traditional coach, and that, just a win doesn't secure your spot in the lineup. That's just not how it is.
Jacky too, right? Jacky only had 2 minutes of ice time after the 2nd period the other night in the home opener. They won the game, and usually coaches they don't break up a winning lineup. He also changed goalies, and that's why I think last season I don't think that happens. I think Montembeault gets to start again. After don't take the winning goalie out of the net, but I think Marty realizes that how well Dobes has played, and there's nothing wrong with putting a little heat on Sam Montembeault for that number 1 spot either.
Absolutely not.
Or even some teams. The Bruins, remember they had that rotation, right? A couple of years ago, one goalie played one game, one goalie played the next game, back and forth. Worked well for the Bruins when you have 2 goalies like that you can trust, and saves on the wear and tear of both of them.
And it worked well for the Vegas Golden Knights when they did it in the playoffs.
Fresh too, right? It keeps them both fresh. If one guy does get hurt, the other guy hasn't been sitting for a month without playing.
Stu Cowan every Friday is brought to you by Au Noir. Au Noir is every man's one-stop shop. Shirts, pants, polos, suits, or sport jackets. Everything is made for comfort with stretch and sophisticated details for the perfect fit. Whether you're going for a classic or bold look, heading to the office, a night out, or cheering for your team, Eau Noir has you covered, because Eau Noir isn't just clothing, it's your attitude. Speaking of a team with a lot of heat on them, how about those New York Rangers who are coming to town tomorrow?
Oh man,
who just cannot find the back of the net at home. Could you imagine if that was the Montreal Canadiens and how they started a season, getting shut out 3 times at home? Could you imagine?
Yeah. I think they had 11 goals now in 6 games. The first NHL team ever to be shut out 3 times. And you think tickets are expensive at the Bell Center? It's another ball game there.
Yeah.
And Ranger fans are very vocal too. So yeah, that Rangers team, Jeff Gorton signing the contract extension this week. Rangers are the team that fired him when the rebuild seemed to be going pretty good, right? The owner got impatient, fired him, fired John Davidson as president of the team also. Worked out well for the Habs. 6 months later, they hired Jeff Gorton to take over the rebuild here, and we've seen what he's done. But there seems to be something really wrong with that Rangers team, from management to leadership to in the locker room. It's just it's not a good situation. And as you said, they're coming here Saturday night. It'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I wonder what it is, because there was it last year or 2 years ago, they got eliminated from the playoffs, embarrassing fashion, and Gerard Gallant just went off on the Rangers. He was done. He probably knew it too. Goes off on the Rangers, and then conventional wisdom was like, okay, get him out of here. Someone else will fix it. This is a great, talented team. And then now this is happening, and it's what's going on in the water in New York. It's how do you fix this problem when you have talent on the roster, but it's just
the thing is, like, they're +2 in goal. They're 2-3-1. Let's look at the standings here. They've only scored 11 goals in 6 games. So they've only given up 9.
Shesterkin's world class.
They've given up 9 goals in 6 games, and they've only won 2 of them. Like, that's crazy. It's just crazy. So, I mean, for the Canadians coming in tomorrow, Rangers coming here tomorrow, it's not going to be easy to score on them, on the Rangers, right? Mm-hmm. But the Rangers, just for whatever reason, and if you're a Canadiens fan, you got to be a little nervous. At some point, you figure they're going to come out and start scoring, and you wonder if that might be tomorrow night.
Well, and it's also one of those. It's kind of like how every time a player is playing his first NHL game against the Montreal Canadiens, that it's this is at least back when I was a kid, you knew they were scoring. It was over. They're automatically getting their first goal. Tonight is the night, and it goes back to what I was saying against Nashville, in that just because a team isn't good or isn't playing well, there are no easy games in the NHL.
No.
Any team can come up with their A game and pull a rabbit out of a hat and catch you off guard. So the Canadiens need to be prepared. And listen, I don't know where the Rangers are going to end up in the standings, but right now, this game should be a layup. It should be. And you saw it last year. Everyone saw it last year. To make the playoffs, or at least to make the playoffs without making your life very difficult, you got to make your layups. You got to make your layups in the NHL.
Well, I mean, the saying in the NFL used to be any given Sunday, right? Anything can happen. And the parity in the NHL is any given night. I mean, anything can happen. And the thing with the Canadiens, too, every player loves to play at the Bell Center, right? The Canadiens get to do it 41 times a year. They love it. Visiting teams, like a team like Nashville, they come here once a year. That's a big game to come play at the Bell Center. The atmosphere here in Montreal, and even more so on a Saturday night, right? So the Rangers are coming in here, original 6 matchup, Saturday night at the Bell Center. The Rangers are going to be fired up. The Canadiens are going to have to be ready for them. And you say, they're due to start scoring. And for the Canadiens, I hope that night doesn't come tomorrow.
Well, and not only that, but the Rangers fans travel well. There's always, I've been to a couple.
A lot of Rangers fans in Montreal too. I know. I mean, the original 6 teams, all the original 6 teams have fans in Montreal. I mean, I remember, Matt, I told you, so I remember my parents came here from Scotland, and the first hockey sweater I ever got when I was like 3 years old was a Blackhawk sweater. So my dad didn't know much about hockey at the time, but he fell in love with it when he was a soccer player. He fell in love with it. And at the time, he thought the Canadiens were crybabies a lot. They didn't win. And then he saw Bobby Hull play for the first time, and he thought this guy was unbelievable. So he became a Blackhawks fan. And my first hockey sweater was a black. So there's a lot of stories like that in Montreal of fans from original 6 teams. There's tons of Bruins fans here. Right? I mean, I know half my friends are probably Bruins fans. Bobby Orr was my favorite player as a kid, but I was a Canadiens fan. I wasn't a Bruins fan. But Blackhawks, a lot of Blackhawk fans. It's original 6. So any original 6 matchup on a Saturday at the Bell Center is always great.
Yeah. So and listen, the Canadiens have a very good. They always play well Saturday night at home. It's never a concern, but if you do play down to your competition, you can find yourself in some trouble very quickly. And like we said, it's not even playing down to your competition with the Rangers because, like we've said, they have talent. They have a ton of talent, and.
A kid like Lafreniere, Saturday night at the Bell Center. It's National Hockey Night in Canada. They'll be pumped up.
And Igor Shesterkin, I mean, how often is it that you've scored, what is it, 11 or 9 goals?
11 goals, 9 goals against in 6 games.
It's insane. It's insane. So anyways, Rangers are a bit of a tire fire right now, and it's awesome. It's really awesome to see because of how eccentric New York fans are, and how eccentric the New York media is. But
I always love the original 6 matchups too because they're still the best sweaters in the NFL.
Yes.
And I didn't get it like in Detroit, their home opener, when they wore those others, like the red ones, like they looked like the Calgary Flames. So Rangers will have the blue sweaters on, the Habs and the white is going to be great.
Yeah. So, and listen, just to bring it back, the Canadian and what that means, that goal differential and how tight the Rangers play defensively just signifies is how tight the Canadians have to play. Because I don't care how cold the sticks are of the New York Rangers. You make a mistake against Artemi Panarin, he's putting it in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And there is little to no margin for error. And it's funny because, I joke with friends, texting them after games, especially I texted a friend after I don't know if he texted it to me or if I texted it to him. It was after the first game of the season. They lose and I just go, tomorrow night's a must win. And it's game 2 of 82. But we saw it last year. They made it in on the last game of the season. Every game matters. Every single game matters. You got to take advantage of the spots that you're given. And tomorrow you'll be in way worse spots than Saturday night at home against a struggling team. Then, I'd rather be in that position than Wednesday night in Columbus on the second half of a back-to-back. It's the middle of February. There's worse positions to be in.
Well, those 2 extra points the Canadiens picked up in overtime could be huge, right, at the end of the season. And with the Rangers, like Mike Sullivan, the new coach there, coaches coach defense more than offense, right? Like you want to get guys to play defense. The Rangers are playing defense. They can't score. Like he must be going like, I can't put the puck in the net for them. I can show them how to be responsible 200-foot hockey players and play defense. And like, if you're a coach and your team's giving up 9 goals after 6 games, figure I'm doing something right here. He must be going like, what's going on here? I don't think with the talent they have and Panarin and guys like to not be able to score is crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll see. Elsewhere for the Canadiens, other bright spots haven't really talked about him. We mentioned him very, very briefly. Cole Caulfield, we mentioned shooting the lights out, but Nick Suzuki is quietly, like you said, because he's not scoring, has 7 assists and quietly picked up his game very early on. That's not to say he was playing bad through 2 games, but there was something not right, we'll call it, with the first line, but they're talented enough that they'll find points. Now they're on alert when other teams should be on alert when that first line is on the ice, because Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield are just a dynamic duo right now. Juraj Slafkovsky has, there's still something to be desired there. Needs to be a little bit more engaged, which is, you don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's what it is. But those 2 guys, much unlike last year, have found the stuff early on.
Yeah, and I mentioned you wonder, how much longer till Ivan Demidov gets on the first power play. I also wonder at what point does he maybe replace Slafkovsky on the number 1 line? Overtime last night, Slafkovsky tried that move in front of his net. Almost lost the puck. I mean, imagine if they lost the game with that. He makes some not very smart decisions with the puck sometimes. And he seemed, I don't know if he's nervous this season, or he seems to be fighting the puck a little bit too. And on the power play also, maybe not used to being in that position that he's in. But he's got to be more consistent. I mean, he's said that at the start of the season. The consistency has been his problem right since he first came here, and that's a normal thing with young players. But Ivan Demidov has been consistently good. He's a special player. You watch him just the way he can cut with the puck and find seams and look for guys and see the play, and he plays with aggression. He's the game in Chicago when they were targeting him there, and he got in the scrum, got his lip bloodied. Didn't shy away from it at all. This kid, there's a lot to like about this kid. I just like the way he carries himself off the ice too. Remember the night they drafted him? He strutted up onto the stage, took his coat. Like he's the real deal. This kid, he's the real deal. He really is. And if we've said this before, all number one draft picks aren't created equal. If Demidov and Slafkovsky were in the same draft the same year, you wonder if Demidov wouldn't have been the number one pick.
Well, it's going to be interesting because I think we all know at some point he will play with that first line. I think that Juraj Slafkovsky will have a little less leash than other players would have.
He's had a lot of leash until this point. A lot of leash as a number one pick.
And exactly. So you wonder, is that running out? Not that he's been bad. I mean, he hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been noticeable.
Yeah. He's 1 goal through 5 games, and you look what the other guys in that line are doing, right?
Exactly.
And then again, that move in overtime last night, that's the kind of stuff that'll make Marty St. Louis hesitant to put him back out there again in overtime. You
wonder, there was another move that he made, and he I don't know if it was a move that he made, but he just fell down in front of Nashville's net, and then Nashville goes on a 2-0. And if it wasn't for Laine Hutson, flying back in his zone, never giving up on a play, he's not making his $8.85 million yet, and he's still busting his ass out there. He busted his ass all the way back, took away the pass. Who knows what Stamkos does with the puck if Laine Hutson's not there to take away the pass?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Laine Hutson. You're a runner, I'm not. But what's that test they do to test your oxygen? He would. I mean, I hate he would score off the charts on that. I mean, he never gets tired. I mean, it's unbelievable. Mike Matheson's the same thing. Mike Matheson's a lot older than Laine Hutson, but they're two guys that just have big engines. Like they go and go and go and go and never seem to get tired. And Matheson's such a beautiful, graceful skater. It takes him less effort to go around than it does Laine Hutson, who nobody's teaching Laine Hutson skating style to young kids. Like he's got everything flying everywhere, right? Like he's going but he gets there, and he's quick and covers a lot of ice. But it's nice when you're a coach and you have defensemen like that you can play so many minutes. And again, overtime, so much of that overtime, you see it, right? A chance going down one end, like a 2-on-1, goalie makes a save, and now it's a 2-on-1 or a 2-on-9 goal. Now you got to get on your horse and bust your ass to get back. And Canadiens have some guys that are able to do that. Now, that's another reason why they're so effective in overtime.
And Laine Hutson also, just since signing that contract, listen, again, he wasn't bad. There's nothing to complain about through the first 2 games of the season, or first 3 games rather. And then he signs that contract, and just you see the way the crowd reacted when he got introduced at the home opener. I think an earthquake went off.
It was weighing on him. I mean, how can it not when you're a 21-year-old kid and they're offering you all this money, like life-changing money? He never has to worry about money again for the rest of his life. And, you got agents involved, you got his dad involved, you got everything involved. You're trying to figure out. And kudos to Kent Hughes, who was just able to sit down one-on-one with Laine Hutson, give his side of the story, listen to Laine's side of the story. And as Laine said, we met in the middle. And that's the way good negotiators do things, right? And they got it settled. But there's no doubt, he looks relieved that it's over. He wants to be here. He wants to be in Montreal. He's happy to be here. And it showed the last couple of games on the ice. He's playing like a kid out on the outdoor rink.
Yeah.
You know, he's
That's the way
on the rink. And the first couple of games, it looked like he was a pro hockey player with the pressures of being a pro hockey player, right? And now he's back to just being that kid. I mean, there was one play, it was last night or the game before, where he made some move and he sort of fell head first into the boards. He lost his own balance, like his mind was going quick. And I was laughing. I said to her, Zerkowski and the Bros, he's like a kid playing shinny. He's trying to go around, falls down, gets back up, and goes back at it again. So there's a lot to like about Laine Hutson as a player. There's a lot to like about him as a kid. 21 years old, and he gets an $11 million signing bonus as part of that contract next season. That's talk about life-changing money, right? It's and he's earned it. I mean, and he could have got more, right? Yeah. He probably could have got more if he wanted to sign a shorter-term deal or a bridge deal and wait. But Kent Hughes convinced him that the offer was fair. Explained to him that Hudson's in a different situation than a Noah Dobson, who was eligible to become a restricted free agent. You have to pay more to get those guys. Laine Hutson didn't really have, the Canadiens held most of the cards. Restricted free agent, wouldn't have even been eligible for an offer sheet next year from another team. Canadiens made him, I thought, a fair, generous offer, and Laine Hutson obviously agreed and signed it.
Yep, and I will tell you right now that in next year, 2 years, 3 years, whenever it happens, when the Canadiens go big game hunting, whether it be through trade or free agency, and they can take on a guy who, with the cap going up, is probably going to be making $13, $14, $15 million. Yep. That player who will be given that money by the Montreal Canadiens should go up to Laine Hutson and shake his hand, because Laine Hutson, I don't think anyone would have batted an eye if the Canadiens gave him 11, 12 million. It was never going to be that because of, we mentioned the leverage, but if he was to get it, I don't think anyone would have batted an eye at that, or at least Canadiens fans wouldn't have.
No, and you got to realize too that the $9.5 million cap hit for Laine is gone after this season too, right? Mm-hmm. And I was talking with Nick Suzuki after on Monday there when they announced that Hutson had signed, and I got the quotes in front of me here, and like what he said, this is what you want to hear from your captain, right? In a salary cap world, he says, "I always love to see guys get paid and get what they're worth. We've kind of built a culture here where guys are not trying to break the bank. I think all Laine wants to do is win, and I think he's definitely set us up for that possibility moving in the future. We're in a different world in contracts now than when I signed 4 years ago. The contracts are bigger, the cap's higher. You have to go with the times. I think having Dauber and Lainer where they are, and all of us that signed 8-year deals, that where we are now is great for the team." And he says, "I really couldn't care less who makes what and who's the highest paid. It doesn't really matter. I signed 4 years ago and I knew I was going to be locked in. I'm perfectly fine." So when you have your captain talking like that, now as Nick Suzuki said, it was a similar situation. He was young like Laine Hutson, and they offered him life-altering, guaranteed money. This isn't the NFL where they cut you. See ya. Sorry, that contract you signed, no good. Guaranteed money where you're set for life. And to see guys do that and willing to maybe take a little bit less because they want to play in Montreal, they want to play for Marty St. Louis, they see what's building here. I wrote a column this week saying, Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon and Marty, their biggest asset might just be their willingness just to be open, honest, and straightforward with people. Mm-hmm. And I think with all the negotiating, and Laine Hutson, you're hearing from your agents, you're hearing from your dad, you're hearing this, you're hearing the Players Association is probably involved. Don't take less than and you've got all these things going on in your head. And then Kent Hughes sits down and has a one-on-one conversation with you, and it gets settled. And a lot of that has to do with Kent Hughes's experience as being a player agent. He knows how players think. He knows what players want. He knows, and as he said right from the day he came here, he says, from my experience with players, the biggest thing they want is to win. They want to win. They want to be somewhere. They want to make money, obviously, but they want to be somewhere where they have a chance to win. And the guys who don't care about winning and only care about how much money they make, you don't want those guys anyway, right? So it's an interesting situation now with the salary cap. Connor McDavid signing for $12.5 million a year, the same money he's been making for the last 8 years, not even taking a raise. And it was Alan Walsh was on Twitter recently, and he said, when Bob Goodenow was running the NHLPA, and his biggest concern about a hard salary cap was that top players would be looked at as being greedy by fans or teammates or whatever if they didn't take less than what they probably were worth in order to help the team. And we're in that situation in a bit right now, right? I mean, you look at like baseball, these crazy contracts that top guys are signing for. There's no cap. I mean, there is, but the owners just pay the tax or whatever. So they can pay their top guys whatever they want. It doesn't, they get into bidding wars. And the NHL, which is the reason why owners love Gary Bettman, he got them that hard salary cap. And it's a reality now that if you got to win, or if you want to win, some guys are going to have to take maybe a little bit less money. I mean, Minnesota signs Kaprizov that was $17 million a year. Even with the salary cap going up, not going to leave a whole lot of money for other guys lower down in the roster. So the Canadiens have got all these young guys locked up for 8-year deals at very reasonable. Right now, they're very reasonable cap hits. 5 years from now, by the end of this thing, Cole Caulfield's got 5 goals in 5 games. He's making less than $8 million a year, and he's going to be making less than $8 million a year for 6 more years. So, if you get a 50 goal scorer in today's NHL making under $8 million a year, that certainly helps the team.
I'll draw a little bit of a comparison through a take that I saw. It's funny because it was after it was right after Canada and USA's first game of the Four Nations. PK Subban went on to First Take on ESPN, and they were talking about, how, because it was the NBA All-Star Weekend juxtaposed with the Four Nations, where you had 3 fights in 9 seconds versus players who refused to show up. And,
I remember that interview.
And he said, you got to look at the leaders of the game right now. And those guys set the precedent for the rest of the league. Yes, the talented players are always going to get paid. And now I'm going to look at it through a salary lens. I think it's fair to say that at this point, the 2 leaders of the NHL, you think NHL, you're thinking Sidney Crosby and you're thinking Connor McDavid.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 guys who did not break the bank at all.
No.
Sidney Crosby could have made whatever the hell he wanted in his career, and he got $8.7 million.
Yeah, for like 19 straight years, he's got $8.7 million.
That's right. Connor McDavid, now especially with the cap going up, people were expecting him to sign for, I'm talking to friends, literally $20 million.
Yeah, it was the max. The max, 20% or whatever it is of the salary. Yeah, the max. And he would, and nobody would have blinked an eye if the Oilers gave it to him, right? But that goes back to what Alan Walsh was tweeting before. Like in baseball, no player is signing for less than what he can get. Like,
of course,
it's the agents, the Players Association won't allow it. It's like you're going to get as much money as you possibly can. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. could he have got a little bit more leaving Toronto, maybe, but he got, was it
$500 million?
Yeah, $500 million, $50 million a year for 10 years, $500 million. So it's different worlds. And the reason baseball is where they are is because their players union was so strong and never caved. Cost the Expos, right? Cost the Expos in 1994. But the players have benefited moving forward. They just refuse to accept the hard salary cap. And that's why they make so much money. And the NHL players caved in. That's what happened, right? They were Bettman was ready to lock them out for as long as he had to lock them out to get that hard salary cap. And they came back and they accepted it. And now that's, Connor McDavid's making $12.5 million a year, and Vladimir Guerrero's making $50 million a year.
And Kaprizov is making
17.
Going to be making 17, which is it's just so crazy to start seeing these numbers in hockey. But
yeah, but I think we mentioned it last week. Like no team with a guy making more than $10 million a year has won the cup. Or had 2 guys making exactly $10 million last year.
There you go. And it's probably going to change. But I had to put my money down.
Yeah, but first of all, you have more players making more than $10 million, right? So the odds are going to, and Edmonton could be the first one, right? With Connor McDavid at $12.5 million instead of $20 million, which is what he should be earning. I mean, it's Connor McDavid should be making the most money possible because he's the best player in the NHL. But
we'll see.
As PK Subban said in that interview, hockey players are wired differently. Like they want to play. That's why the union wasn't strong enough to fight off Bettman with the salary cap. Because too many guys just wanted to get back and play, right? Careers are short. They love to play. They want to get back and play, and that's what they did. Whereas baseball, the leadership of the baseball union has been so it's actually impressive how they've been able to get the solidarity with the players over the years. Baseball players have never lost a negotiation with the owners, and hockey players have never won one. Yeah.
Well, that's it. The biggest thing that hockey players have, and a lot of sports would take it, is the guaranteed contracts. That is huge.
Yeah. Well, I think yeah. I mean,
but anyways,
MLB and NBA, but NFL. I mean, and NFL is great. If there's
one
sport where the contract should be guaranteed, it's the NFL, because every single play. I mean, I'm amazed there's not a stretcher on the field after every play in the NFL. Every play.
Well, that's it. It's the Wild West out there.
So it's the most it's the sport you're most likely to have a career-ending injury, and your contracts aren't guaranteed.
Well, that's it. And they say that an average NFL career lasts 3 years.
Yeah.
And you see it. You see it if you watch closely. You follow a team. There are all these obscure players that played for your team, and then they're nowhere to be found after.
Well, look at your Bengals quarterback every year.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other issue. But his money is
a lot of it's locked up, guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think
it's like
270
million and 50 million. But it wasn't always that way. That's sort of how they've got around now to sign the big guys. But again, it goes back to the strength of the players' union, right? The NFL collective bargaining agreement. They agreed to not have guaranteed contracts.
But anyways, we'll see. I mean, bring it back to the Canadiens. It's going to be crazy the amount of money that they're going to have to, throw at maybe even a couple of players to bring in and help give that team the extra boost. You look at Vegas.
Is it one player at 15 million, or is it two players at 7.5 million, or three players at 5 million? Right? There's a lot of different ways they can go about spending that money to fill whatever holes they need to fill.
Well, you just look at Vegas, and every single deadline or free agency, they're always in on the top guns. They're always, and they'll always get their guy. They will do it every single time, and it's always same reaction. How the hell did they manage to do it? How did they manage to do it? And the Canadiens are soon. I don't know about as soon as this year, but probably as soon as next year. Maybe in 2 years, they're going to be in that cap. They're going to be in the mix for all those guys. And they have an ownership team that are going to get their guys because they've gotten their own. They've gotten their own to sign what they want for. And that permeates through the league. When you start seeing players taking undervalue because they want to win, and you're going to see it with Crosby, you see it with McDavid, and you're seeing it with all the Canadiens.
Well, one of the reasons Vegas gets their guys is what we spoke about earlier. Vegas wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's great weather, right? There's not the same media scrutiny or fan scrutiny as there is in Montreal and Vegas, all that stuff, but they also win. When people were talking about how it's not fair, the Panthers win 2 years in a row, they have the tax situation in Florida, it's not fair. But when the Panthers sucked, nobody wanted to play there.
Yeah.
Right? The taxing is still the same. The weather was still the same. Nobody wanted to play there because they sucked. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons a lot of players didn't want to play for the Canadiens, there's weather and language and taxes, but they sucked. They weren't a good hockey team. So why would you want to come when you have a choice to go to places with better weather and less taxes and the chance to win? Whereas now, and it's really the atmosphere that they've created here in Montreal with Gorton and Hughes and St. Louis with these young guys. These young guys love playing for the Canadiens. They don't mind all the media spotlight. They don't mind being recognized everywhere they go and being stopped by fans. They actually seem to thrive on it. And they've realized that, I talked about Juraj Slafkovsky earlier. One of the reasons they took him with the number one pick is they thought he could handle the pressure of playing in Montreal, and he has handled it. I mean, whatever issues he's had with the inconsistency, it's not because of the pressure of playing in Montreal. He's able to handle that perfectly. He's just a young guy. Sometimes bigger guys take longer to sort of find themselves, and it's just a young guy growing in the NHL. I don't think it has anything to do with the spotlight on him, the media pressure. As he's told me, he has more media pressure and spotlight on him back home, where he's like the biggest athlete in that country in any sport. And so that's the thing here. These guys that are here are embracing the spotlight the same way in the glory. The home opener when they had all the guys who played with Dryden behind the bench, Yvon Lamberts and Mario Tremblays and all those guys, and they love the spotlight, and they still love it. You still see them around town. So they've developed the thing with these young guys that they like being in Montreal. They want to be here, and they're winning. They like playing for Marty St. Louis. So a big reason why the future looks so promising for this team.
Yeah, it seems to be, it's awesome to see because it seems just the new generation in every sport. I say every, I'm not really tuned into baseball so much, but basketball and football, it's just give me the most amount of money possible, and that's that. And it's just not the case in hockey. And it's good to see that, players that will come here and frankly be a god if they win. I don't think anyone would doubt that Nick Suzuki, if the Canadiens won while he's captain, he is a god in Montreal. He will never have to pay for anything ever again in this city.
No, I think you'd say the same for Jeff Gorton and Kent Hughes.
Well, that too. They're all the whole team.
They might build statues for them outside the Bell Center. Never mind the players that are there right now. And again, Montreal. We live here. The traffic sucks at times. The weather can suck at times. There's language issues all the time. But if you're a young guy making a lot of money, Montreal's a pretty cool place to live.
Oh yeah,
it's even if you're not, it's a pretty cool place to live. But and they've been able to sell that to this young team that and it's interesting too because but David Savard leaving, I might have mentioned this in the last podcast. There are no Canadiens players left living on the South Shore of Montreal in the suburbs. They all live downtown.
Well, and what's another thing that fans and players have in common? It's like you said, the weather might be terrible in January. You might be caught in -30. You get a flat tire because you slid on some ice.
Hit a pothole.
Hit a pothole and slid on some ice, and you couldn't avoid it. But guess what makes it a little bit easier to swallow? Winning does.
Yeah. And this city is, when the Canadiens are winning, there's a different vibe in this city. There really is. And we're seeing it now. And we saw it when they went on that playoff run in 2021. Unfortunately, it was COVID. Just seeing the excitement, as I mentioned, like that game last night, the first two periods, like, oh my God, this is so boring. And then, wow, what a finish, right? Nobody left the Bell Center not thinking they were entertained last night.
Well, it's also just, I've never seen, with speaking in hyperbole, I'm not even speaking in hyperbole, through two games, played at the Bell Center, or I haven't seen that amount of it was a playoff atmosphere last night and the home opener, because home opener, everyone's excited for the home opener. It's a big deal. Yeah. That energy dies down 10 minutes into the game. Not on Tuesday. That went from beginning to end. It was a playoff atmosphere in there. And same thing for last night. It's crazy over here. It's every game feels big in this with this team, because everyone wants to talk about the Canadiens and everyone wants to watch them and everybody wants to see them win. It's insanity. And
tomorrow night will be fun. Original six
against a slumping Rangers team. We'll see how it goes. Stu, thank you very much, and enjoy the hockey and enjoy your weekend, and especially Sunday. It's the last hot day of the year.
There you go. You too.
That's Stu Cowan. I'm Matt Ohayon for producer Shane, back at Master Control. We'll catch you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.